biologists. I am not feeling well today, so we're going to do this almost like a distance learning. I'll walk through kind of what to do, and you can follow along. We're on Friday, October 5th. There's an entrance task. If you want to get to these slides that I'm on, this is the link for those. So entrance task, and then we're going to be working through some pages of your notebook. And if you want these slides, they're right there on Schoology. All right, so pause, do the entrance task. So here's our notebook. Yesterday, you should have done one of these. If possible, I'm guessing you'll be in the lunchroom for class, but you can find other people from class if you need to and try to find people who have the other three and fill those out. That will complete yesterday's part of the notebook. So today we're going to be on page 2 and 3 of this notebook. All right, so let's look at what we got here. The first is this video, and so I'll put a link if you want to watch it on our Schoology page. But as it goes, you're going to fill out the part of the notebook that has these 4. So the functions of those 4. But it's a good overview of what those 4 things do. So I'll let it play here for us.
A mosquito lands on your arm, injects its chemicals into your skin, and begins to feed. You wouldn't even know it was there if not for the red lump that appears, accompanied by a telltale itch. It's a nuisance, but that bump is an important signal that you're protected by your immune system, your body's major safeguard against infection, illness, and disease. This system is a vast network of cells, tissues, and organs that coordinate your body's defenses against any threats to your health. Without it, you'd be exposed to billions of bacteria, viruses, and toxins that could make something as minor as a paper cut or a seasonal cold fatal. The immune system relies on millions of defensive white blood cells, also known as leukocytes, that originate in our bone marrow. These cells migrate into the bloodstream and the lymphatic system, a network of vessels which helps clear bodily toxins and waste. Our bodies are teeming with leukocytes. There are between 4,000 and 11,000 in every microliter of blood. As they move around, leukocytes work like security personnel, constantly screening the blood, tissues, and organs for suspicious signs. This system mainly relies on cues called antigens. These molecular traces on the surface of pathogens and other foreign substances betray the presence of invaders. As soon as the leukocytes detect them, it takes only minutes for the body's protective immune response to kick in. Threats to our bodies are hugely variable, so the immune response has to be equally adaptable. That means relying on many different types of leukocytes to tackle threats in different ways. Despite this diversity, we classify leukocytes in 2 main cellular groups, which coordinate a 2-pronged attack. First, phagocytes trigger the immune response by sending macrophages and dendritic cells into the blood. As these circulate, they destroy any foreign cells they encounter, simply by consuming them. That allows phagocytes to identify the antigen on the invaders they just ingested and transmit this information to the second major cell group orchestrating the defense, the lymphocytes. A group of lymphocyte cells called T cells go in search of infected body cells and swiftly kill them off. Meanwhile, B cells and helper T cells use the information gathered from the unique antigens to start producing special proteins called antibodies. This is the pièce de résistance. Each antigen has a unique matching antibody that can latch onto it like a lock and key and destroy the invading cells. B cells can produce millions of these, which then cycle through the body and attack the invaders until the worst of the threat is neutralized. While all of this is going on, familiar symptoms like high temperatures and swelling are actually processes designed to aid the immune response. A warmer body makes it harder for bacteria and viruses to reproduce and spread because they're temperature sensitive. And when body cells are damaged, they release chemicals that make fluid leak into the surrounding tissues, causing swelling. That also attracts phagocytes, which consume the invaders and the damaged cells. Usually, an immune response will eradicate a threat within a few days. It won't always stop you from getting ill, but that's not its purpose. Its actual job is to stop a threat from escalating to dangerous levels inside your body. And through constant surveillance over time, the immune system provides another benefit. It helps us develop long-term immunity. When B and T cells identify antigens, they can use that information to recognize invaders in the future. So when a threat revisits, the cells can swiftly deploy the right antibodies to tackle it before it affects any more cells. That's how you can develop immunity to certain diseases, like chickenpox. It doesn't always work so well. Some people have autoimmune diseases, which trick the immune system into attacking the body's own perfectly healthy cells. No one knows exactly what causes them, but these disorders sabotage the immune system to varying degrees and underlie problems like arthritis, type 1 diabetes, and multiple sclerosis. For most individuals, however, a healthy immune system will successfully fight off an estimated 300 colds and innumerable other potential infections over the course of a lifetime. Without it, those threats would escalate into something far more dangerous. So the next time you catch a cold or scratch a mosquito bite, think of the immune system. We owe it our lives. TED-Ed is a nonprofit. If you value our work...
Okay, so kind of cool how it explained all of these. So take a moment to fill this out. Antibodies, those are the main part of the immune system that attach to the antigen like a lock and key and destroy antigens. Again, antigens are anything on the outside of all these viruses and bacteria that mark it as bad. They talked about phagocytes. Those are like the Pac-Man. They eat the bad things, the cells or the bacteria. Natural killer cells, those are the T cells that went and destroyed cells that were already infected. And memory cells, that's long-term immunity. So it talked about how once, like they keep a file of each bad thing, and that's memory cells are how you're then immune in the future. So they gave the example of chickenpox. If you got vaccinated or if you got chickenpox, now you're immune because you have memory cells that remember it. So, all right. Next up is these notes, so that you can fill in the blanks here. So an antigen is any substance found on a virus or cell surface. So you have antigens on the outside of your cells, and viruses have them, bacteria have them. So this is like yourself has these antigens on the outside that say, hey, this cell, it belongs to Mr. Wang or whoever. And so those are fine. Your body's used to those. Now, bad stuff, like a bacteria, has different shaped antigens. So your body would be like, no, that's not supposed to be here. So an antibody is what you make, and it recognizes a specific antigen, again, like a lock and key. So your body would make an antigen that would match, your body would make an antibody that would match this shaped antigen and then mark it for destruction. So it latches on, and then now your immune system is warned, and it'll show up there and eat that bacteria. So this is what a lot of pictures will look like. So it has this Y shape, and on the ends is where it matches up with the antigen. One way to talk about this is blood type. So if you are type A or B or AB or O, you have different, what that means is you have different antigens on the outside of the blood cells. So if you're type A, you have like little A antigens on the outside of your blood cells. If you're type B, you have type B antigens. AB has both and O has neither. So then what's going on in your blood is, well, you have actual antibodies that will fight the B antigens. See how the shape matches B? And so if you're a type A blood and you get somebody gives a blood transfusion of type B blood, your body will attack it and it will not be good. Now, if you're type A and B, if you're type AB blood, you don't have either antibody, so you can get anybody's blood and you'll be okay. So that's where if you're type AB blood, you can take anybody else's blood. Type O, it has both antibodies, so you can only get type O blood in terms of a transfusion. So that's kind of cool. And we'll talk more about organ transplants, same idea. So going through these then, we have lymphocytes. That's a specific immune cell that makes antibodies. And maybe you've heard of your lymph nodes, right? So that's where this is connected to your immune system, because those get big when you're sick, right? So there's the B cells and the T cells. I'm not going to ask you to differentiate what the difference is. But they make antibodies, and they can either launch just single antibodies, or they put them on the outside of their cells. So here you can see a cell X. It has all these antibodies sitting on the outside of its membrane. When it lands and it matches here, all right, that cell will divide. So we have all of these different ones are different lymphocytes, white blood cells. They have different antibodies. They're waiting, and whichever one matches quickly divides, and so you get a bunch of those defenders. And now they can go out, assuming that there's more of this bad guy, antigen X. These will go out and find them. So it takes time. So this is why you're sick for a while, like I am right now. So my body right now is trying to figure out what antibody will match this virus that I have. And so it takes a while, first exposure, all right, and you might get sick, all right, and then you get better. And the idea is memory cells happen, and that makes you immune. So now if I get re-exposed to this cold, boom, they'll make a big response, and I probably won't even feel sick at all. So that's where this memory comes in. Obviously, some things we stay immune to, others we don't. That is due to mutation. We'll talk more about that, how diseases can mutate, which makes our memory cells no longer work, because now they have new antigens. So last thing is this. We watched the first part of this, and we're going to watch the last part. I will link this into Schoology. So at this point, you should have all the way down to this stop sign done. And we'll finish up anything you have questions on, and we'll do this on Monday. Have a good weekend. I hope you are healthy and safe.